I'd love to do that. I was told if I mess up, I'm gonna get impeached. Is that right?
It's all a hoax.
It's all a hoax, yeah. But I kind of envy y'all. I'm just gonna tell this. I never told anybody this, but I ask my wife all the time if I can have a bike, and I'm kind of a minority in my house. I live in the estrogen bubble. Well, I live in the estrogen bubble. I'm outruled. I'm overruled. But I keep on a bike, and I get a little pushback, so I just let it be. I like my guns, I like other things, and that's enough for me. But uh, I appreciate all the things you do. I mean, I hear little things here and there about how the different groups in town and how you get involved and the things you do in the community for others, and I really appreciate that. And I know you guys have actively been involved in those things. So. Um, you want me to tell a little bit about my wife and I? I came here back in the early 80s. I was playing in yesteryears in a former life. I played a little ball and I was in the minor leagues, and I got called up from Daytona Beach, and they said, son, you're going to Double A ball in Columbus, Georgia to play for the Columbus Astros. And got in my car at 12 o'clock that night, took off, and came straight to Columbus, and didn't know where I was going to stay. Met up with some folks that I grew up with. They were here, and Columbus has become my home. I've been here ever since. But I did play for the Columbus Astros and moved on. Had a great career. I had to pinch myself every once in a while, but a lot of wonderful things I was able to experience. I got involved in the community. My wife and I, we felt blessed. Some of the things that kind of came with what I was doing was a true blessing. And I realized, and still to this point, there were a lot of people in my life that I would have never made it. I would have never achieved what I did if they didn't give me a helping hand. So we wanted in return, it was our turn to give back and give a helping hand. And what I wanted to do was to help the kids like me when I grew up. And people were in my life. I could be telling you another story tonight. You probably wouldn't want to hear my story, but it didn't turn out that way because people took the time to invest in my life, and I'm really grateful for it. So my wife and I was able to take my goal in life was to try to take care of my family, buy a home, pay for it, my cars, put my kids through college. That was it. That was my goal, and it went far beyond that. So I said, maybe we can do something for somebody else. We started Carpenter's Way, which is a home for disadvantaged children, abused, abandoned, neglected children. That was back in '89. I didn't know what to do. I just knew I wanted to help. I just wrote a check and said, here it is. I'm going to do something with it, and started getting lined up with the right people. Back then, some of you may remember, some of you may not, but I wanted people to know I was sincere about helping. So I went out and said, look, for every dollar you give, I'll match it. And I did that, and that's kind of how Carpenter's Way started. We started with the boys at that time. It became a boys' home. I really wanted to do boys and girls, but mixing them at the time was probably not the right thing to do. And the needs for young men in the state of Georgia and the foster care system was like this compared to girls. What's ironic today, it's like this. So we started with the boys, and Carpenter's Way is still out in Harris County, right on the other side on Hunter Road. And we have a girls' home now, Arabella. Arabella is another friend of mine that wanted to get involved too and was inspired, and he helped start, along with others, including myself. We started the Arabella Home for Girls, which is out Waverly Hall. There's an Annabella home there that's 17 acres, and he bought it himself and gave it to the ministry to try to help these kids. We came into some challenges along the way when the Great Recession hit, changes in the state. A lot of things happened, and we needed help. We just couldn't make it happen, and we were faced with a situation where we may have to close the doors. So we partnered up with the Methodist Children's Ministries out of Macon, and they've got a huge umbrella in the state of Georgia, the number one caretaker of these kids, and they had an endowment. That really helped out, and having that endowment and the security there. And we turned it over to them because they said, look, all we want to do is take care of these kids. No strings attached. We can keep the doors open. You guys can have all the assets. Just make it happen. And they actually have they had a much better management model and operations model than we had. We were just homegrown and, a community taking care of children at need. That's what we were doing, but it's a challenge and it's overwhelming, and so they've brought a lot to the table. Now it's Carpenter's Way, Arabella, under the Methodist Children's Ministries, and there were some other organizations in town that were struggling too. Our House and Columbus for Kids. They were struggling too, and we've always talked about, why do we always duplicate efforts? Maybe we can collaborate and bring all of our resources together and help more people, and so that's what we did. So that's the long version of where we're at today, and we're rocking and rolling, still taking care of the kids, and I'm on an advisory board, a volunteer board, and still try to help out as much as possible. Matter of fact, we're going to have a luncheon coming up here soon. Last year we had Kirby Smart came. I don't know if y'all remember that. He came and talked to us. And how many dog fans we have here, huh? We don't have any. We don't have any Tiger fans here, do we? Okay, good. So yeah, got a big game Saturday. Big game Saturday. Well, hey, let's pull for the. If your team's out of it, let's pull for the home team. Yeah. All right. So look, I've been involved in community service. Again, what I do in public service, I'm an elected official. I'm a council representative, and I did that. I stepped out. A lot of people asked me to do it. I didn't know what I was getting into, but when I signed up for it, it was like, oh my gosh, I bet people are going to think I'm joking around, a baseball player, all the rest of the stuff. I better get serious. So, I had to go out there and work and let people know that I really wanted to help the community. And I've been able to do that. That's my way of giving back still. That's what I do. I like helping people, and that's my way of giving back. So unless everybody tells me they don't want me to do it, I'll do it as long as everybody wants me to do it. I thank y'all. Some of you, I may represent you, but I thank you for the opportunity. It's a privilege and honor to serve you guys, and so thank you for that. I'm just going to do a Q&A, Joey, if I need to. Y'all have a lot of needs, and I'm here tonight, and I'd rather you participate and ask your question instead of me standing up here being a talking head and all. But
I discussed with you before at our board meeting at the Starbucks.
Yeah.
Convention and Trade Center, I think. And we're going to put together a game plan. You started rattling off questions that we're going to get from anybody, and they're smart, good questions, and we'll have answers to them. We're just not prepared for that yet. I will reach out to you, but otherwise, if anyone's got any questions as far as, and what we're trying to, the District 9's focus is going to try very hard to be 100% local. That's where we're headed. That's where I want to head. And Matt, legislative now, and I think we're on the same page. So, you can be very helpful in helping us be at the tip of the spear.
Well, I'm gonna do that. I promise you, I'll do that. I'm glad y'all asked. Joey thought of me enough to ask, and at least to try to. When he asked me, he said, "Can you give me some guidance?" I said, I told him I'd help. We just had a little conversation about I'll help out in any way possible. The neat thing about this, probably a lot of people don't even know you're here meeting tonight. Really, but this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We have a lot of, like I said, a lot of groups, a lot of organizations that meet, and it's good to know, the people that can possibly help you and meet some of your challenges and the things and the concerns you have. And just talking with Joey, he brought to light some matters that I didn't even, I wouldn't even think of. A common person, common citizen wouldn't even think. You guys are bikers, but they don't know your world. They really don't know your world and what you're dealing with on the streets, the things and all. But it means a lot to y'all. And that's important. That should be important. It's your community. It's your city. It's your government. So if I can help y'all in any way, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get y'all to the right people. We can sit down. We can talk. And I'm sure that you guys will keep me posted on that. But if you want to know anything, if I can, ask me any question. That's what I'm here for. And it kind of always works better to, like I said, to let you talk, and then me tell I kind of have that conversation versus somebody just coming in here and just, whatever, But any questions? Yeah.
You're an inquisitive.
Always ask me. Wait light times, not wait light times, but I mean, there's times when I can come up on my 1,000-pound motorcycle to a street light, a left-hand turn, and the light don't never turn. And I'm not sure if those are sensors, whether it's a magnetic strip under the asphalt, whatever it is. But you know, it's annoying to go
cycle through 3 times.
Right.
And then the law says cycle through 3 times,
Right.
and then you can go. That's annoying one, but what's really annoying is you're going down Veterans, and every light's 500 and some feet apart, and some of them will trip with my weight, and others you got to wait on that.
Right,
So
right.
it's a calibration thing, and it's historically all over the city.
Well, no, that's a good question. Let's talk about that in a minute. That's, it's probably a combination of all. I'll tell you what's in the city. There's several, yes, there's sensors in the ground, weight sensors in the ground, and depending on where you're at, it may hit, it may not, but it does trigger a timing system, and most all the lights are on a timing system, and they're for a reason. It's not just where you're at, it's for the 4 different or the 3 other, angles of traffic, whatever it is, the intersection there. They got to time it in such a way that it doesn't back up this side and then this side and then you have kind of a hodgepodge of confusion of vehicles. People get real upset about that. So yes, it is on a timer. Those timers can be adjusted. There are some that are on sensors, and most of the time they're on sensors. It's a DOT, Georgia Department of Transportation. It's on their roads. Because they got a lot of money and they tend to put different kind of technology up. We're getting some of those. You see those little cameras that they're actually motion sensed. So if it picks up the vehicle, it'll cause the lights to change.
Sometimes I think we're too small to take it.
Yeah. And some of those lights, I mean, they could go out or they could be faulty. I mean, like you're talking about. But all that takes, I'll tell you how to solve that. You can call 311. And I tell everybody this. That's what I do most of the time. But you can call 311 and tell them about a specific traffic light. You're having a problem there. And they'll go out and they'll take a look at it. They'll send the engineer group and they'll go out and they'll look at it. But usually when they do, they've got a set plan of 15 minutes this way, or 15 seconds here, 10 here. I mean, it's kind of calibrated. And they've got a formula, for lack of a better equation. Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, that could happen. Yeah.
The state of Georgia,
Or if you don't hit them right.
the inmate of the state of Georgia did have a dead red law going forth that was detailed, that would have given us the right if the light does not change.
Right.
We can go through. You just can't sit there indefinitely. Most of our motorcycles are air cooled, but you're gonna ruin a motorcycle.
Right. Well, and then at that level, I mean, I would have to bring in some of your state representatives because they handle those kind of things up there. I do locally, I can help from that standpoint, but we do have a traffic engineering department, and it's small, but they've got to manage all the lights and all the stuff all over town. But that's in general. I mean, most people, we've heard that people would like more sophisticated system where the lights would kind of timely change, so you can just keep going and it's green, versus stop and going. That you hear about that a lot in the uptown area, but I think for the most part, what I just described, that's the kind of systems that we have, and they'll go out. I've called them a few times on certain people would bring up some concerns, and a lot of the, I'm a see it, feel it, touch it guy. I mean, if somebody calls me, I'm going to go out there and sit and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what's going on, and then I know who to call or how to present it to the people that deal with all that. Yeah, well, what he just said, I'm telling you, I didn't realize what you just told me.
Research, man. It's just research.
Well, I mean.
Another piece of that, same, because it's intersection related, is there a plan of, I mean, at one time I saw street sweepers all over the place, and now you don't see any. There's so much pea gravel on
Right.
Talking 1,000 pounds plus my 220 and my Bryant 110, talking close to 14 and some change, trying to be held up at a stoplight. If you catch your foot wrong, you the bike, and whomever you have with you, going straight on
Right.
down.
Right. Oh yeah. City's got two. I want to say three, but I'm pretty sure two street sweepers, and they go out strategically. And a lot of that stuff's more with DOT, so you'll see them on the interchanges and places like that. I mean, I'll call in. You can call in. You can ask them if they'll send a street sweeper out there and hit a certain place. And you know, if there's an opening in the schedule, they'll do it. They've done it for
The
me.
old Sun, well, it's not old now, but it'll hurt. The Suns and that intersection right there is always there. Of course, they fixed it somewhat because they resurfaced that whole intersection. DOT just resurfaced it.
Right.
But then the backwards problem to that is when the DOT guys come and they do their resurfacing, they leave all of the loose asphalt just there.
Well, I know.
It's
Yeah.
not cleaned up to the point. It's good for a car, truck, and stuff like that, but you're talking our weight, our small. A tire has less footprint than this phone does
Yeah.
on the ground. You know, times two. I mean,
Well, let me ask y'all something, because I've been noticing lately with some of the road improvements out there, I see them doing a lot of striping, and they'll chew stuff up and then they'll restripe. But I guess that stuff they put it down so fast, it dries so fast. You see like a bunch of like little gravel and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Is that a problem? Well, they just leave it out there.
right. Well, they let the traffic itself sweep it.
Blow it off
But
to the
then it blows it into a pile,
right.
which is normally the pile that we as motorcyclists end up riding through.
Well, that's something right there that the city does have a traffic department, and in some of the areas they'll go out and manage the road construction. They've got a supervisor that'll go out and manage these contractors, and that's a simple. Hey, when you finish with that, make sure you sweep the road. They got street sweep. Make sure you get that stuff off. So, I mean, I haven't even thought about that, to be honest with you.
Most of the time, your small sand and gravel goes into the low points, which is in a curve or in an intersection,
Right.
which are critical points for a motorcycle, because that's where you're stopping or in the middle of the turn or braking. So that's the danger for us.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the street sweepers, they do great going up and down the straight road, but then they shut off when they go around the curve or
Right.
around the intersection, leave all that stuff there.
Well, they usually go on the medium. You know, I think about River Road. They'll go right down the part where nobody drives in the median just to clean off all the trash and stuff. But
Jerry, what you got? You had your hand up for a minute.
I'm gonna give me a street bike, man.
In addition to just the annoyance,
Lay it down.
In addition to just the annoyance of stopping a light for the turn or intersection, a lot of motorcycle accidents are because cars don't see us, and a lot of accidents happen in the car. We're sitting at the intersections. We're just there trying to stay out of the way and trying to get out of the way. So we're more visible if we're moving than we are still.
Yeah.
That's a lot of reasons why they're just so deep and the way it's in there. Just a danger for us.
Well, I would, you know, if we can, is it Don? Did I get that right? I'm not good with it. Bob? Matt. We can get a list of some of these things, and I'll get you in front of the people. We'll get in front of people, because I mean, I can tell you, my colleagues on council, well, you're what I'm hearing you say right now. You know, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. So,
Completely different perspective.
no, I mean, yeah, if you're not a biker and doing it, you wouldn't know.
Kill us. A pothole, you know, you guys don't fix a pothole like that size.
Right,
But a pothole this size will still put us in the well side of the
right.
because of the footprint that we actually have as far as tires on the ground.
Well, they do have, a lot of people don't know this. Yeah, you know, when you're dealing with pot,
you had a problem with the grass clipping.
Grass clippings, another one.
Has anybody in here used 311?
I do. I do. Normally it's on the neighbors who can't figure out the trash.
Whenever you
Well,
mention grass clippings to you.
let's talk about that 311, okay? A lot of people don't. I'm gonna tell you how that works, all right? I use it. When people call me about a concern, they think I got a magic wand or whatever. No, I just pick it up when I call and I call it in. But here's what I do, okay? This is important. The way you deal with those folks down there, that's just a call center, all right? It's just a call center, and they'll take it down, whatever you're telling them. They don't get it right all the time because I have to call back and I complain about, hey, I told you in plain English, you know what, how come it didn't get through? But they'll write it down, and then they'll take it and they'll send it to a department where it's supposed to go. And there's a lot of different departments, I'm telling you, a lot of moving parts in the city going different directions. Sometimes it doesn't get to the right place, sometimes it does. It's usually first in, first out, so it gets on a list, and depending on the backlog, or if there's no backlog, that's how they get to it, all right? But here's what you do when you call 311 about anything. Anything you see in the city, matter of fact, the city would love to have the citizens participate more. You know, one of my big beefs is a lot of times the city employees are supposed to call some of this stuff in, but look, I mean, they've got other things to do too, and they don't get it right all the time, and they're overwhelmed. So it just doesn't get called in, and a lot of times I'll ride by a pothole, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I'm like, nobody sees that. And so I just pick up the phone and I call myself. And what you got to do when you call in your work order, all right, it's a work order. No, first thing, you call it in, make sure it's real clear and precise, all right, what you're talking about. Second thing is you got to give them a location. You get a mailbox number, get a street number, some kind of a number to give to them so they know where it is, because I've had several times if I don't do that, I got a call, I can't find the pothole, where's it at? And I'm like, it's right in front of your face. But no, you got to give them a real clear description so they can get it right, you know, it just helps out. The big thing is make sure you ask for, this is what I tell everybody, this is a kicker, all right? Make sure, give them your phone number and tell them, look, when it gets done, could you have a supervisor call me, or would you just give me a call back and let me know to the action taken when it's taken? Okay, when you do that, it puts them on the spot, okay? Because now you gave a direct order as a citizen that I want to call back, all right? And if you don't get that call back and they don't tell you they did it, now when you call me, I can go in there and say, hey, citizen you didn't call them back and you didn't do it. Why didn't you do that? You know, and then I'm going to go yell at the city manager and all, and then, you know, things happen. If I got that paper trail, and there's a paper trail, all this stuff's recorded, by the way. So when you call down there, it's recorded, it goes on recorded, and it's filed. So I can call down there and say, you know, Joey or Sally told me they called last week about this thing, and, you know, why didn't y'all deal with it? And they'll go back and look, well, we didn't get a call. No, look for it. No, we didn't get anything on that. I'm like, you serious? They told me that they called you, you didn't do anything. No, there's nothing in the system. A lot of times I'll call and there might be 3 or 4 times somebody called, and I'm like, well, what in the world are y'all doing down there? So that paper trail, when you call, is important, and it's good to put people, make them be proactive, and they'll call you back. I'm just telling you, it works. Look, it's not foolproof, but it works for me, and I've seen it work, and you get better results. And I use it all the time, and that's exactly what I do, and they always tend to take care of it, and it gets done.
We do one more question. We'll make that our last
Work
question.
order number generated on
Yes,
our call?
sure
We
is.
can ask for and say, what's the work order number?
You got a work order, and it's recorded. So your voice, they can pull up the voice recording of what you called in.
Because that way, if we call and we say, okay, based on my call, what's the work order generated on, and I write it down.
Right.
Then when I call, if something doesn't get done, then when I call, I say, okay, here was the original work order number.
Yeah, you can just write it down, get the name. They usually say, hey, this is Hope, or this is Sally, or this is John. How can I help you? And I mean, you write John, the date, you know, and the time, and usually you can call back and say, look, on this day I called you, look it up in your system. When they put it in, it goes in electronically, and there's a digital footprint on it when they send it. So that's a good thing, but a lot of people don't know that. The last part I told you is the kicker about getting them, make sure you clearly identify, make sure they call you back. I mean, I'll tell them, because here, let me tell you another thing that happens. They go out there, when you call, they'll go out there, and look, I'm just telling you, there's sometimes there's just confusion sometimes, and they'll go out there what were they talking about? You know, I don't, what were they talking about? And then they're like, okay, it's done. And I go back by and I see, well, it's been 2 weeks now, and I'll call in and they're like, oh, well, they couldn't find it or whatever. They said it was already done. I said, no, it's not done. It's still there. So that's why I always say, have somebody call me. Here's my number. Have somebody call me if they're confused or need some help or whatever, and I'll help walk them through it. Because another thing, too, they'll send a supervisor out there to take a look at what you're talking about. A lot of times to take a look at the pothole or an area or a shoulder or whatever, they'll send a supervisor out there. He'll look at it, and then he knows who the crew is to call and what needs to be done. So it kind of becomes more efficient. But that 311 system's a good thing. It's just a lot of times people don't know how to use it.
I called pothole back in the day. I like walking the motorcycle. And 2 days later, I rode by to check on it. 2 days.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the other part of the story. They've got the city actually has a policy, okay, that they try to adhere to, that if they get a call on a pothole, that they try to have it fixed within 48 hours. That's just what public services do. That's what they do. And I've done that many times, and they'll get it. We spent more money. We actually added, the council added another, or the city, increased the budget and added another pothole group. They're doubling down on potholes right now. We added another crew, and the reason we did that is because the city only has enough money in the budget to pave about 10 miles of road a year. It used to be 20, and then funding got cut from the state and other areas, and then it came down to 10. So that's always been in the budget. And then we try to get a little extra money out of the what they call the integrated waste fund or transportation fund if we can get extra money, and we use that on paving. But it's anywhere between 10, 12, 15 miles a year. And the city manager's good at it. They usually try to, there's 8 districts, and they'll try to be fair with all the districts. Now, on paving, the city also, to be fair to everybody, all right, because everybody, tends to think that the squeaky wheel gets all the oil, right? Well, not necessarily. They hire an independent consultant for roads to evaluate roads. They come in every year or twice a year, and they'll come in and they'll evaluate all the roads in the city of Columbus, and they put a number on them. So the lower the number means the worse shape it's in. The higher the number, it's not. But they have an independent group do that work. So I don't do it. The city does. The manager doesn't do it. The mayor doesn't do it. Nobody does it. They have a group that comes in where it's fair. It's judged fairly. All right. Now that doesn't mean that time goes by and the road gets worse. If it does, I'll call it in. They'll send somebody out there, take a look at it, and they'll bump it on that list to another grade. So what they'll do, the lowest number gets that lot. So if it's 20, 25, 30, and that's the funding they have, and they usually do it about 3 times a year. The money comes in. The money doesn't all of a sudden just, you put it in the budget and it's there. It's not there. It's collected over 12 months. You know, when you pay your taxes, your property taxes, retail sales tax, you're out tonight, you're going to pay tax. Well, the city won't see that money probably for 2 months, maybe even 3 months, because it goes to the state, and the state does their thing, and then they send it back. So money's collected at different times during the year it comes in. So they'll pave, in this quarter, they'll pave a little bit in this quarter, a little bit in this quarter to kind of manage their money. So on the lowest number up, they'll take that group, they'll pave them. Then they'll take the next group and they'll pave them. Next group and pave them. And it keeps doing like that. Well, honestly, we don't have enough funds and we're behind. There's a lot of roads that need to be paved. There's just a lot of roads that need to be paved. So, but that's how it works. And I will tell you, the city is going to ask for the citizens, you guys, to support a SPLOTS. Okay, there is something called a T-SPLOTS right now, which is a transportation tax. It barely passed in Columbus. I don't like it. I'm telling you, I wasn't for it in the first place, but everybody votes, so it's democracy, right? But it had 10 projects, and They did their 10 projects, but you probably don't even know which projects these are. And it was for 10 years. Well, it's fixing to roll off, okay? We don't want to do that because we only get to keep 75% of the money. The rest of that money goes, you're paying actually to do improvements in other counties. That was a regional T-Splots is what it was. I didn't like that. But the city, we don't want that. I can tell you this, we don't want that anymore. We want it to go away. So we're not going to vote for it. And I would encourage you not to vote for it because it's better to do what's known as a SPLOTS, a local option SPLOTS, and you can do the same thing you do with the T-Splots, but you can keep 100% of the money right here in Muskogee County, and we can take care of more projects and do more things with it, all right? And you've heard all the stuff about the government center and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's the funding mechanism to make it happen. At T-Splots, we don't want that. That penny goes away, but you're really just trading that penny, and you're asking for that same penny to support a SPLOTS. Sales tax stays the same. Kind of a, unless you just don't like sales tax pennies, you know, then, you know, the equation, the tax equation stays the same and we can do more. In that, I say all that to say in that is money to be earmarked for paving, more paving. So there's an opportunity there to do some things and transportation improvements and things like that. So there is an opportunity there. It's just a matter, I mean, you guys are going to be asked to, what do you want to do? It's not up to me. So it'd probably be a referendum. So just kind of keep your eye on that. But that'll get some of these things. There may be some stuff that y'all want that nobody's talked about that.
That list back in the document.
Yeah. So we'll sit down and do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there's some things that like can be constructed or done, or if you want to need another pothole crew or stuff, y'all just need to communicate it and we put it on the list. You know, it's your list.
Just fixing the grass ordinance, because every landscaper known to man, where they blow it from the property.
Prisoners doing it weren't really.
Oh, blowing
They blow it
yeah,
straight
that's
into
what
the street.
Joey was telling me about that.
Blow it straight into the street, and that's just as.
You know what? I'm telling you, I don't know if anybody. I hate to say this. I mean, I'm going to get impeached, but no. I mean, really. I mean, I don't think people, the council and the people I talk to in the city, I don't think they're having these kind of conversations. You guys do because that's what you do. You know about it. I mean, most people I know down there don't have bikes,
They blow it
and they don't know what you're dealing with.
Rainwater takes it into the drain, and then you send your truck out, got that super sucker hose, and you pull the drain out, so you're paying twice as a city.
I would suspect that a lot of people never even, you know, and we may just have you guys come on the public agenda one time and just maybe talk, you know, kind of condense everything. We may just talk about some of this stuff just to get some awareness. I think that's what I hear, getting some awareness out there. So I can help you, guide you with those kind of things, and be glad to help you any way possible. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. So,
Essentially,
yeah.
look at it this way, is that because of the fact that we don't have a cage around us, and we have, like you said, we have a lower footprint on the road itself. So bikers pay attention to the conditions of the roads and what happens to them on a regular basis. Much more aware of that as opposed to somebody that's just
Sure.
in a cage or a big truck or something like that. It's got a big footprint, doesn't feel the effects of water, of grass, of gravel.
Yeah.
So they live roll through. And we look at that all the time. We have to. Our lives kind of that we might lose on our own.
Well, you know,
That's where you get it. Right. Where folks are not that they're trying to ignore us or anything like that. They're just not aware of it because
Right.
they're inside the cage. They don't see the kind of conditions that we do.
no, y'all are bringing up some valid points. I'm just telling you that,
Find rough roads
you know,
that have just not been paved properly and they didn't put the right, you know, I mean, I could tell a brand new road, it was got a washboard through it.
Right. Well, y'all are bringing up some valid points, and it is the awareness thing. It's just getting you in front of the right people and talking about it. I'll tell you, I mean, honestly, you know where a lot of the conversation, a lot of this stuff is? It's with bikers. It's just a different group of bikers, right? I mean, it's pedal bikers and sidewalks and things. They get a lot of exposure out there, and people talk about it all the time. But I don't hear the conversations with, most of the time it's like, did you see that bike? Man, that's an awesome bike. That was a pretty bike. Those kind of conversations. But they're not talking about the real issues that y'all deal with.
They don't ride.
They don't ride. You're right.
I'll tell you something else too. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if the plumbs are so tight that they're not here in Muskogee County, especially in the city. These streets need to be restriped. You cannot see the lines as it is.
Oh, yeah.
If it's pouring down the rain, you sure not.
I agree with you 100% on that.
If there's ever an accident, I swear to God, God strike me dead, I'm gonna wind up suing the city.
Well,
Because I've already had said something about it, and I mean, it's uncalled for.
let me tell you about that. That's kind of like the paving, okay? That's a good question right there. It's a good point. They're under contract with, there's only, I think, one company that does striping, right? Peak or somebody like that. You see the stripings out there. The way that goes, in residential, okay, they quit striping residential areas, okay? They quit doing that. You'll see the dots. They go and do the dots, or right at the entryway, they'll do about 10 feet so it delineates the turning. In case somebody gets in a wreck, you cross that line. They can do that. But once you get in there, they don't do that anymore. They do on the highways. 311. I've done this before, and I've called it in that an area I can't see at night. It's raining. It's foggy. I can't even see the lines. Can y'all get somebody to come out here and pave it? They do have, stripe it. They do have a striping budget, and that's another thing. That a lot of people don't call those things in. They really don't. That's one I'm telling you. It's major, but they don't call it in, and for whatever reason. Police don't call it in. City employees don't call it in. But, every once in a while I'll call one of those. That really needs to be striped. It's dangerous. But you only see them striping it when they're doing new road improvements or things like that. And they stripe it because that's part of the contract. But I can tell you, I rode down Bradley Park last night and back tonight. And from a certain section of Bradley Park where they've started that new construction to the office park there, from there to here, there are no lines. The lines are gone. You can't see lines. You can't see the lines in the middle, or you can't see the lines on the outside. They're gone. So I'm going to call that one in tomorrow.
You ain't got to go that far. Just take all the way up and down University Road. It's the same
Yeah,
idea.
oh yeah, it's the whole city. So when you add it all up, that's a lot of money. And when you got only a budget to do X, they have to kind of, if you call it in, it might get done. They're not going out and just looking for paving. So thank you, Joey. Thank y'all for letting me come spend a little time with y'all. And